little bit of sad news, which is the passing of comics great Neal Adams, the legendary Batman artist, DC artist, which is what he's well known for. Green Arrow, specifically Green Lantern. He passed away at the age of 80, which again, I think that's a good. He lived an extraordinary life, so that's always a good thing, but always sad as well too. Obviously, that that he passed. Details surrounding his passing, I would imagine he kept private, but he was a huge influence. He was a huge influence on the comic book world. He was a huge influence on, the characters that you're loving right now. Not you personally, but the kids out there. He introduced serious storylines. I mean, he had the whole, sidekick, drug heroin story. That was him. He first came to prominence in the 60s and 70s. This is from Comics Beat, with his photorealistic style of art in comics that sent a jolt through the industry, together with Denny O'Neil, who also sadly passed away. He was instrumental in revitalizing the Batman character from the day-glow pop of the TV show into the Dark Knight we know today. Their take on Batman can be felt in iterations that have come from both Frank Miller all the way to Christopher Nolan. And he had just an unbelievable career. He was a big convention guy also. He was a big, he was at every convention. That's why when I heard of his passing, actually, I was a little surprised, because even post COVID, I think I was at one or two conventions, and he was rocking it. He was still there and still doing it. So, ultimate, big loss for the comic book world, no question about it. Do you have any? Because did you I think, what was it, the New Jersey Expo? You had to man his booth or something, right? Was that something? You have great stories, by the way. You don't know you have great stories. You don't think you have great stories, but you have all these I was bodyguard for this guy. I had to do this. Yeah, I had to man the line here. So you got to actually talk and hang with him, right? Am I remembering the correct? I'm remembering this correctly. Am I right?
I did. I worked for him very briefly for the New Jersey Expo
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. He and his wife.
Right.
And I just helped them. I helped them maintain their booth, because he had an enormous booth. It was just covered in.
Yeah.
It was covered in art, either commissioned pieces of work, or work for his own sketchbooks, or his own picture books, which he called them. Then a ton of just paraphernalia for from the millions of comic books that he did, and it was everywhere. And he had a ton of stuff, and there was and there were sticky fingers at those conventions. So
yeah.
Part of the job was just to make sure that that anyone who walked away with something had put money into Mr. Adams' pocket before they got away with the goods. So
the very heart of a transaction.
Yes, and in the process, I spoke to him quite extensively. I think the thing about him that amazed me the most was I grew up with his art. I mean, it's just synonymous. Neal Adams is it's like John Byrne, a number of others.
Mm-hmm.
There's just it's work that's synonymous for our generation, especially.
Yeah.
And I was just astonished at his real life work. He'd done a whole bunch of pieces for a lot of pop culture things, like The Walking Dead or Star Wars or whatever. And his comic book stuff, his cartooning, was impeccable. But his fine art, his real life depictions of things were mind blowing. It was, and he had a ton of that stuff. I've got maybe 5 prints. He awarded me 5 prints after I survived that weekend of fighting off the hordes that were trying to steal stuff off of his booth.
Wow.
So it was
just thefting going on left and right, huh?
It was kind of crazy, because
it is actually incredible.
He had a booth. He had a small press booth, almost the size of the Wizard booth, the size of. And he and his wife were up front with the cash register.
Yeah.
so he could do autographs and his wife could work the cash register. So but because of the way they designed the booth and the way they were positioned, they just could not look after the rest of the booth.
Yeah.
So you just had to be there swatting sticky fingers away. And I mean, it turned. I said, "Oh, this will be easy," because I mean, come on.
Wow.
And it obviously it was not easy. It was.
It's amazing you bring that up because
I
read a lot on social media like Twitter and things like that of like, or Facebook, where these comic book artists are like, and to whoever stole my portfolio, you a-hole. Like it happens. And then there's a whole business of having to then track eBay for where these things go up and catch them in the act. So it's,
and you have to report them and post them. This is stolen merchandise because I never sold this and this and that.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. So I guess his goal was to avoid that at all costs. Yeah. And that's what he did. That's what I helped him do. So, but I mean, in the process of doing all that, I got a chance to talk to Neal Adams quite a bit. He is a man of immense talent.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a man, and this is no knock on him. He was also a man quite aware that he was an immense talent, and I don't think I'm saying anything that no one else knows about Neal Adams. He was, he's very proud of his work.
Good.
And he was, he had he had every right to be honest.
That's all I want. By the time I'm 80, I want people to be like, you did all right. You did good. I've had one or two moments. I had, we actually had him on the show a few years ago promoting his Kickstarter comic, but he was like, I bought your Sire book when I was 12. And then he was like, it's like 10 years or 10, 15 years later, and he's making his own comics. And he's like, I remember buying it. I was a kid and blah, blah, blah. So I trust me, I only have one or two moments like that. I can only imagine, when you have,
he's probably bored with that by now,
do you ever 80. Get bored of that? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. I'd like to have that.
I'd like to have that as a thing, right? Like, what a luxury. What a luxury. Well,
accolades and adulation up until.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Sorry, you were,
Did we drop out?
A little bit. But I covered it up pretty good. I covered it up.
You did.
Good.
You did.
The funny thing is, you don't realize you're dropped out, or maybe I don't maybe I'm dropped out. I don't know. Who knows? But
no. Sometimes one or two times you've dropped out, and it's you have, you've kept going. So what can be done?
That's all you can do. All right.
That's why I always move around so that people know that I when I've dropped out.
Don't give it away, because there's times when I literally just if I have to re-record something, I'll just plug a picture of you and no one will know. No one knows the difference. It doesn't move, but they're like, it's cool. Like, they just don't know. Coming up next, we're gonna do a rogue reaction to Moon Knight. The whole show has wrapped, all 6 episodes. I am intently curious as to your reaction to the show as a whole and the final episode, because I have 2 different opinions of the show as a whole versus just that final episode that aired. We will be spoiler free. We'll make this a spoiler free review. But
I'm gonna spoil it. I'm gonna spoil that in.
What's that?
I'm gonna spoil the ending.
Are you?
I'm totally gonna give it away. What happened?
I will say this: somebody on Twitter noted. They noted something really cool. Actually, we'll save it for next segment. All right, when we come back, rogue reaction, Moon Knight. When we come back. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.